Welcome to the channel. Today, we're exploring some unbelievable story. Stay tuned and let's dive in. Her behavior was the first thing that set me off. Our daughter, Olivia, had returned home in tears, relying on Sophia and me for consolation. She had been unfaithful to her husband, Ethan, and now she asked me, her father, to intervene and urge him to forgive her and give their marriage another opportunity. Olivia reasoned that roughly 90% of men had been unfaithful to their spouses at some time, and Ethan was likely no different. After all, he was charming and attractive, always surrounded by ladies who adored him and competed for his attention. Have you ever actually caught him doing anything unfaithful? I was wondering. He is attractive and women like to be around him, but that doesn't mean he's cheated, remarked Olivia. What on earth made you decide to betray him? It wasn't intentional, Olivia said. We were at that party and Ethan had to leave early to deal with an issue at the factory. I had a little more to drink than I should have, and when he said he wasn't coming back, he told me to get a ride home with one of my friends. The friend that took me home was James Carter, and he kept telling me how much he adored me. He started kissing me, and when we got to our driveway, he started feeling me up. It felt good, so I let him. I guess I was a little drunk. I didn't know. She stopped there. Olivia was weeping and sobbing while telling us this. Olivia, if you think I'm going to side with you or interfere, I'm not, I whispered. Sophia and I taught you better than to cheat on your husband. Sophia and I have been married for 28 years, and if she did that to me, I'd toss her out. It would rip me apart, but I would feel I had to, just to keep my self-respect. Come on, Dad. You must have been tempted in the last 28 years, haven't you? Olivia raised her voice. Sure, several times tempted, that is, but there has to be mutual respect between loved ones. Do you think Sophia has ever gone out and been unfaithful to me? There was complete quiet. I had not glanced at Sophia while I was berating Olivia. The stillness drew me in, so I was staring at my wife. She was pallid, staring at the floor. Sophia, look at me, I said. She could not. I stood up and exited the room. I walked out to the kitchen. Olivia was still weeping when she arrived to grab her coat. Olivia, did you know Sophia has been unfaithful to me? I questioned her. Olivia now refused to look at me, leading me to believe she was aware. Like mother, like daughter. Get the hell out of here, I said. I know just how Ethan feels. I hope he kicks you out for good. I returned to the living room, and this time Sophia glanced at me. I'm sorry, Michael. Can you forgive me? She inquired. I think you're sorry I found out, I said. Evidently, Olivia knows what you've done. Can you imagine how I feel about that? Every time she came over, she probably looked at me with pity. Well, I know about it now, so all we have to figure out is what is going to happen next. Can't we continue as we have? She said. I still love you. I can't, I said. There are too many that know about it. Olivia, probably Ethan, your lover, and all of those he most likely bragged to about getting into your pants. No, no, no. I have never denied you anything. I've given you all the sex and love you wanted. I've raised your children, kept your house, attended your functions, and been by your side whenever you needed me. How about trust, honor, and commitment? Did I have those too? I wondered. I thought I did, but apparently I haven't. I guess the only thing for me to do is leave, I said. You'd better get an attorney to represent you. I will try to be as amicable as possible through all of this. If you could read my mind right at this minute, it would make you afraid of me. I headed upstairs and began packing a bag. I had traveled extensively, so it just took me a few minutes to determine what to bring. When I got back down, Sophia was still sitting where I left her. Don't you want me to tell you about it and how it happened? Questioned the woman. No, I don't, I said. You must have been willing because I know you don't drink, so you can't even use the same excuse that Olivia has. I'll have my lawyer call you so you can tell him who you have retained. God, Sophia, I admit I have been happy with you, but I don't see where I could ever be again. You'd better tell Derek. Olivia most likely will, but he'd better hear it from you. Boy, is he going to be hit hard when he finds out both his sister and his mother have been screwing around. I left before Sophia could say anything else. I sat in the hotel room, reflecting about my life. I believe I've had an easy life till now. My parents were upper middle class, so I was able to have an excellent education. Everyone felt I was too serious, but they knew where they stood with me. I wasn't particularly righteous, and the scenario with Sophia didn't make me feel that way. However, you needed to follow certain rules. Marriage was a solemn and serious thing for me, and when I made the vows, I knew I was going to honor them, and so should everyone. What made Sophia believe she did not have to? She was a grade school teacher. Christ, she taught the children to follow regulations every day. If they didn't, they were penalized. This person, with whom she refused to deny having an affair, must be something. Did I want to find out about him? That was a definitive no. I may discover that he had a larger tool, provided a greater climax, or treated her better than I did. I don't see how he could, however. I had always prioritized Sophia in everything we did, including sex, throughout our relationship. My thoughts moved immediately to Sophia. She was a lovely 46-year-old lady who kept herself toned and manicured, but I also maintained myself that way. Neither of us would have a problem finding another partner. Wait, she'd already discovered hers. It was just I who would be looking. As I sat there, still thinking about her, I realized that I didn't feel the same way I had only 2 hours previously. It was a significant loss that left a hole in my heart, but I believed it would heal after a time. My love for her would endure a long time. It wasn't as powerful as it once was. I'm sure our children, Liam and Olivia, would urge me to remain married to their mother. Perhaps not, however. Olivia was at least aware of her mother's romance. Perhaps she believed Sophia was taking a better route away from me rather than with me. Well, I would approach this in the same manner I handled everything else: wait and see what happens, then take the best option. On Tuesday morning, I contacted my attorney, Henry, and told him I wanted a divorce from Sophia. He questioned me extensively since he was not only my lawyer but also a mutual friend. I told him I did not have any evidence. He claimed whomever Sophia picked as her counsel would urge her to oppose the divorce. I told Sophia that no matter how hard she battled, she would never be able to win back my affection. I promised to be fair in whatever settlement and share everything evenly, so that was the major aim for him, apart from the paperwork. My secretary received calls from Henry, Liam, Olivia, and Sophia in the afternoon. I had instructed her to tell them to phone my hotel in the evening if they wanted to speak with me. When I arrived at my hotel, I found Liam, Olivia, and Sophia waiting for me. "Dad, can we talk in your room? Mom knows she has wronged you, but she is hoping you can get beyond this. We can talk, but she's going to be disappointed." We walked up to my room on the second floor. "Did Ethan take you back?" I inquired. I begged him to, and he said I could come back, but I would have to stay in the guest room until he makes up his mind. "He won't sleep with me either," Olivia said me with tears in her eyes. "Well, good luck. If you beg hard enough and really intend to remain faithful, he might," I said. Sophia was given some optimism by what I told our daughter, but I quickly destroyed her dreams. "You made a mistake. Maybe Ethan can live with that, but I can't. I'm just not made that way. Michael, if you come home and I sleep in the spare room, can't we resolve this?" she said. "I haven't made up my mind yet. First, who did you have an affair with?" I requested an answer. "You don't know him, so you don't need to know his name." "Where did you meet him?" "At the teacher convention when?" 26 years ago, she said. "How many times have you been in his bed?" "I'm not going to answer that. Haven't I told you enough? I admit I had sex with him. What more can I say?" I sat there and looked at my wife. Then it occurred to me every year there is a teacher convention and Sophia attends all of them. Was that why she didn't respond? I needed to know. "So you've had sex every year for the last 26 years with him at the convention? Is that right?" Her head came up. "Not every year, if you must know. I missed too. It looks like I'm going to miss this year too. I'm so ashamed of all of this. I didn't realize what it looks like until it has been brought out into the open. Michael, come on, you were never hurt by this. Remember the great sex we have when I get home from the convention. Both Liam and Olivia were conceived in those sessions, she told me. I wanted to harm her, thinking that fantastic sex with me was her reliving her time with her lover, which had just happened a day before, or that they had been created a few days before I arrived home. That seems to be a plausible scenario. That got to her. We took precautions. It did not happen. Liam and Olivia are yours. You have to admit I have reason to doubt you right now. I don't even know why I'm talking to you. I've got a cheater for a wife, and you want me to forgive you and forget about what you have done. I told Liam, I hope you are my son. I don't know what I would do if you aren't. What about me, Daddy? I'm your kid too. I know I am. Well, why don't you act like it then, Olivia? You know I love you, but what you've done to Ethan breaks my heart, I said. I'm sorry, Daddy. Please talk to Ethan and make him forgive me. I couldn't do to him what Sophia has done to you. I promise I'll be true to him forever. Okay, Pumpkin, I'll talk to him. You two kids go along. I want to talk to your mother. I'll see that she gets home. Olivia hugged me, and Liam shook my hand. Sophia sat motionless on the bed, observing this. When they departed and I seen their vehicle exit the parking lot, I turned to my wife. They are great kids. I hope Olivia does what she says she will. Two cheaters in the same family would be too much. Even if the kids aren't mine, I love them. Michael, stop calling me a cheater. 3 nights out of a year does not make me a cheater. What am I supposed to call you? Maybe a loving wife that only cheats a little. How would that be? You might as well take me home if all you were going to do is call me names. We've always been able to talk without being nasty to each other, I joked. Okay, I'll try. You have to know how I feel about this and realize how much you have hurt me. I didn't realize before, but I'm starting to, Sophia remarked. I was crushed when Olivia came and told me what she had done. She and Liam knew about me. I thought her knowing about me would keep her from doing the same thing. How long have they known? 2 years ago, they came to the convention to visit. They found a man in my room and I couldn't cover up what we had been doing. I made them promise to never tell you. As far as they know, I haven't had him in my room since. What should I know about this man if you've been cheating with him for 26 years? I questioned him. He must be really something. Michael, I was 22 when I met him, Sophia said. Teachers flirt just the same as any other group. He and I were flirting and we both got too hot and we had sex. This occurred the last night of the convention that year. I came home and you and I had wild sex. I found out shortly after that I was pregnant with Olivia. The next year, I didn't go to the convention because Olivia was a baby. The year after that, there was no question. I spent all 3 nights with him. I missed my monthly after I came home. I didn't go to the convention the year Liam was born. I have been with him every year since, she says. Why? What is the attraction? It isn't the actual being with him. It is the excitement as convention time gets closer. I'm going to be doing something that nobody would approve of, nobody would expect it of me either. You didn't, and the kids didn't, and they think I stopped when they caught me. Christ, last year I almost went wild when I thought you might come busting the door down because maybe they squealed on me to you. I glanced at this lady whom I thought I knew quite well. She merely informed me that I didn't have her whole body and that she had been thinking about this lover for most of the year. Without me, it might be 10 times more thrilling. Let us see. You've been in bed with him 75 times in the last 20 or more years. You want me to forget all of that? Come on, get your coat. I will take you home. This is the end of us, isn't it? She said. You are a good man, Michael. I'm truly sorry I haven't lived up to your expectations. You wouldn't know what it's like unless you've been in the same situation. I'm sorry you've missed that too. It makes you so much more alive. Sophia was destroying my love for her every time she opened her lips. I stared at her, disgusted. It did not seem to worry her. Perhaps she believed she was not a cheater. I could think of other terms that sprang to me, like cheater. I spoke to Ethan about Olivia. I claimed I couldn't give him advice. You may never regain your wife's trust. I told him everything about his mother-in-law. I said that if she had come and confessed after sleeping with the guy the first time, I may have retained her and attempted to re-establish trust. After 26 years of her adultery, I couldn't even contemplate it. We became intoxicated, and I half carried him home that night. He slept on the floor, I slept on the sofa. Olivia had apparently contacted her mother and sobbing on her shoulder. Sophia arrived for breakfast in the morning. She screamed at me, accusing me of not assisting in resolving the conflict amongst the young people. I immediately got up and went. I didn't even respond to her. Weeks passed by. Ethan let Olivia back into his life. I was happy for them. Olivia informed me a few months later that she was expecting a kid. Olivia and Liam kept careful eye on me. They weren't sure who their father was, me or their mother's boyfriend. I felt good knowing they wanted me to be the one, and I became closer to both of them. Liam met a girl, and she is amazing. They form a charming pair and are very much in love. I am looking forward to her being my daughter-in-law. Sophia and I see one another on rare occasions, and I always make an effort to be nice to her. Liam informed me she didn't attend the teachers' convention this year. I told him it didn't matter to me either way. Sophia and I did divide our assets equitably. The home where I spent so many pleasant years with Sophia has been sold. I nearly bid on it, but then I remembered living there and how Sophia was probably thinking about her boyfriend when she was with me. Olivia and Sophia chatter much. Olivia informed me that the guy Sophia had an affair with was married and had a family much like her. They had made a vow not to contact one another throughout the year, waiting until convention time to meet together. There were moments when my divorce from Sophia stung and haunted me. We had 3 eateries that we went to as a couple throughout the years. The first time I saw her at dinner with another guy, it added to the misery of her infidelity. I kept my emotions under control, talked calmly, and was courteous when she presented me to her date. It was an unpleasant scenario, and I was relieved when supper finished and I could go. I loathed her more then than I did during our divorce. It was different when I invited one of the instructors she collaborated with to supper. We were seated at the table next to her and a female acquaintance. Sophia couldn't manage the situation as well as I did, so she never completed her food, went to the restroom, and never returned to her seat. Oddly, I didn't get any joy from the suffering I knew she must be experiencing. We must have chosen separate restaurants since we never saw each other again. We did, of course, meet at family gatherings, and we gradually became comfortable with one another. But the memory of cheating persisted. My life took an unexpected turn. I was at the grocery store, passing through the checkout behind a youngster holding 2 candy bars. I observed him take a prepaid phone card. He paid for the sweets, but he planned to walk out without paying for the card. "Son, you have to run that card through the checkout. Give it to me, and let me pay for you. You wait for me, and I'll walk out with you." Despite his flaming red cheeks, he waited for me. That's how I met Caleb Raymond. When we got outside, I handed him the card. "Tell me about it. You were going to steal that card. There was a clerk on the next counter that was watching you. You would be going to jail right now if I had let you walk out," I said. "Thanks, mister. I know better, but Mom is in the hospital with a broken leg. I wanted to talk to her. I don't have any money to go see her, and I thought I could call her." "What hospital?" "The one on the other side of town, Hope General Hospital, I think. Sis cries every night because we know Mom is worried about us, but we have no way to see or talk to her." "How old are you and your sister?" "I'm 15, and Emily is 13. She is really afraid of staying alone, but so far no one has bothered us. Mom won't be home for another week or more. The last we heard, these kids were up against it." "Where is your father?" "He was killed in a rockfall. Mom is waiting for the government to send us some money. I just hope it comes before we lose our apartment." "Would you like me to take you and your sister to see your mother?" "I can tonight if you want." "I don't know. Mom doesn't like us talking to strangers." "Why don't you call her and you can tell her my name? I'll give you my wallet so you can see for yourself who I am. Here, take my cell phone. It already is programmed for 911. If you think I'm doing anything wrong, just hit the button. I really would like to help you. Okay, I guess I can trust you. We have to go to Maplewood Lane to get my sister. She will have the door barricaded. I wish we didn't have to live there. Mum broke her leg falling through the porch, and it is a compound break. She is also worried about how she is going to pay her bills at the hospital. We discovered his sister, Emily, just as Caleb had predicted, with the door shut. Caleb told her that his buddy was going to take them to the hospital. Emily was a timid young girl just starting to mature into a lady. I recalled when Liam and Olivia were that age. How would they have dealt with the dreadful circumstances that these children found themselves in? Not good, I guessed. The two children were silent on their journey to meet their mother. I inquired about who had leased the flat to them. Caleb said that the property was administered by a management business. He did not know who owned it. When we arrived to the hospital and discovered the woman's room, I remained in the hallway until Caleb explained how they were permitted to visit her. In a few minutes, the lady named Patricia requested Caleb to locate me so we could meet. I entered the room to meet Linda Carter. She seemed to be 10 years younger than me. I couldn't tell anything about her appearance while resting in the hospital bed. She had lovely raven hair. Emily was combing it while talking to me. Thank you so much. I worry about Caleb and Emily, and I'm lying here and can't do a thing about it. Emily is so scared living where we do. It is the most terrible place to be in. I'm Michael Collins, I said. When I realized how serious her condition was, I made a quick choice. I have an empty camp that is livable and in a better section of town. When Dad bought the cabin, it was a hunting camp, but now the city has grown up around it, and it is right in the middle of a working-class neighborhood. You are welcome to use it until you get well. It is still a camp, but it has everything except bedrooms. The sleeping quarters are 2 double bunk beds in 2 different rooms, with one other room with a single bed, so it can comfortably sleep 8 people. I have 2 kids, I said. Olivia is 24 and pregnant with her first child, and there's Liam. He is 22 and has a fiancée. I paused. No wife, though. Kathy grinned. No, but I do have an ex-husband. We get along pretty well, and he is often at the camp with the rest of the family. He teaches school over on South Street. I could see she was fascinated. The kids would have to attend a different school. How could they get switched over? I would love to have them get out of this place. That shouldn't be a problem. I am well known to most of the administrators, mostly through my wife. I could take Caleb and Emily around tomorrow and explain the situation. A few phone calls and they should be all switched. How much is this going to cost? I don't have any money and I always pay my bills. It will take me forever to pay off the hospital bills as it is. Kathy was concerned but did not shed any tears, so I knew she wasn't playing for pity. Let me tell you a little about my situation, I said. I'm 50 and I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm a financial advisor at one of the major banks here in town. I don't have many expenses, for I haven't started dating since my divorce. So what it would cost to help someone out wouldn't hurt me at all. If you wish, I can keep track of what I spend, and when you are in better financial shape, we can talk about it then. You said you were divorced. Is there anything in your past that I should worry about? I mean, with Caleb and Emily being young and all. You're asking if I'm a pervert? I inquired. No, I'm not. You can call anyone in my family and they would say I'm too straight. If anything, that includes calling my ex if you want to. I'll leave all the numbers with you. That way, if you need to get in touch with me sometime, you can call them. If I'm not at my apartment, I'm usually over at my daughter's. I'm the one going to Lamar's classes with her. Jack, her husband, kind of shifted that duty onto me. Why are you taking the trouble to do this for us? To be honest, I don't really know. I don't know why I spoke to Caleb earlier either. When he told me what kind of situation you were in, I decided to help. I have raised 2 children of my own, and sometimes they made mistakes. I'm thinking I showed them the right way to go. Yours are at a crossroads. I'd like to see them take the right fork. People like you don't help someone like me very often anymore. They are out for something for themselves. Let's just say I may be a throwback to an earlier and better time, I told you with a grin. That is what my ex-wife would tell you. I'd like you to trust me. I'm going out to the waiting room. You can talk it over, and Caleb and Emily can give me your decision. Anyway, Linda Carter, it has been a pleasure meeting you. I reached over and took her hand, saying goodbye. Caleb and Emily joined me around an hour later. It was almost time for the visiting hours to end. Mr. Collins, Mum would like one more word with you before you go, he said. I returned to Kathy's room. Mr. Collins, I'm putting my trust in you. Caleb told me what he did and what you did to save him from all kinds of trouble. If you would do as you said you would do about finding a safe place for them, I will be very grateful. Okay, then. This is good, I said. I'll tell you what I'm going to do tonight. I'll swing out by the cabin so they can see where they'll be staying, and until you get out of here, I'll get them something to eat. It'll have to be fast food, because it's late. I'll take them to my apartment, give Emily a room, and settle Caleb on the couch. Caleb or Emily will call you from there before they go to sleep. Emily can have my cell in case she needs to call anyone. I'm telling you this so you don't have. Henry, that be all right? That's great. I am putting a lot of trust in you, and for some reason, I feel I can, Kathy told him. Thank you. Emily was chatting to her mother again in the morning as she came out of her room. I stared first at her, then at Caleb. You two need something better to wear to a new school. We'll go by Target and get a change of clothes for you, then we'll get you into school. I'll pick you up this afternoon, and we can go get some of your things from Maplewood Lane. I was relieved to see Emily dressed conservatively, a basic blue skirt and white top. Caleb wore fresh pants and a t-shirt. I got them registered and in class by 10. I called Henry, the attorney who handled my divorce. Henry, would you find out who owns the slum tenement on 149, Maplewood Lane? I told Henry about the Raymonds. When you find out who owns the building, threaten them with a lawsuit if they don't pay Mrs. Raymond's hospital bills. She does have a good case. If that doesn't work, tell them that I'll have the city health and fire inspectors in there and have the building condemned. They can balance that against one hospital bill. Damn, Michael, are you turning into a bleeding heart liberal and going to save all the downtrodden of our poor city? Henry said with a laugh. No, just one poor widow with a couple of teenagers. I may have something else for you to do for her. It seems unreasonable that she should wait for the death benefit of her husband from the government, but that can wait for now. Okay, buddy, I'll see what I can do. Caleb and Emily rushed out of school, seeking for my vehicle. I gave Caleb my phone to carry, and we went to Maplewood Lane to retrieve some of their belongings to relocate to the cabin. The kids were thrilled to have a safe home to live again. They were also relieved that their mother would no longer have to worry as much for them. I agreed to bring them in to meet her again tonight. I drove my Camry up to the tenement. For a minute, I wished I had brought Liam along. I never ventured down to this part of the city. It should be safe in the middle of the day, but you won't find me here after dark. We didn't have enough boxes, so I was helping Caleb and Emily load things in trash bags. When we had packed everything except a few shirts, Caleb and Emily began hauling the suitcases out and loaded my vehicle. The second time they went, I heard a ruckus and Emily screaming. The door was open and I saw her wrestling with a large youngster or young guy. When we arrived, Caleb showed us a baseball bat by the door jamb. I snatched it up and rushed down the stairs. I could see Caleb was down and being hammered by another lad. There were 3 youths or men who were intent on getting Emily into a beat-up old automobile. I lunged at the closest child, whipping the bat at him. When I hit, I could hear his ribs breaking. I landed a glancing hit on another one's skull and he fell like a dead bull. The other boy who was holding Caleb down got onto my back and beat me with his fists. Emily had lost her top and was attempting to flee, dropping her skirt in the process. I continued to go toward her kidnapper, landing one more strike before falling. It was enough to get him to let go of Emily. That one turned and went toward the automobile. I struck with all my power and hit one of his knees. He screamed and slid down. Now the youngster on my back decided he'd had enough and scooted around and entered the vehicle. As I rose up, he had one more task to do. He had a pistol on the car seat, and as they drove away, he shot out the window. I did not go out right away, but I did go down. The bullet impacted me on the right side. Emily screamed for someone to summon the rescue team and police. Within a few minutes, a police vehicle arrived. Emily was sobbing over me. All she was wearing now was a tiny bra and her underpants. She hugged me and had more blood on her than I had. I believe I blacked out, since when I awoke, a medic was working on me. He smiled and told me that the wound was not life-threatening. The first thing I asked was for the police to call Liam Collins to come get my car and the 2 kids. If they couldn't get him, then call my son-in-law Jack Thompson at the Summit Corporation and have him do it. A neighbor offered to keep after for Caleb and Emily until one of my boys arrived. A officer stated he would also remain around. I was transferred to the same hospital as Linda Carter. It felt like I was in the emergency department forever, and then I had surgery. I awoke in the ICU. Olivia arrived a few minutes later. "Come on, crazy daddy." I couldn't believe it when Ethan called me about what happened. "What were you thinking? Are Emily and Caleb okay? You were taking care of them, weren't you?" "Daddy, you didn't answer me." "Yes, they are okay. Both of them are outside and can come in a minute. Emily is the sweetest little thing." "Where on earth did you find her?" "Oh, I get around," I explained. "She reminds me of you when you were that age, and she is in trouble, so I just had to step in. You were all grown up and soon going to have a baby, so I just had to start over. After they see me for a few minutes, would you take them in to see their mother?" I was wondering. "I promised I would, but after that gun battle, I can't," Olivia replied, attempting to chuckle but sounding more like a moan. Levity was never my strong suit, and you don't know what to make of it. Emily entered with tears in her eyes and gingerly kissed my face. "Mr. Collins, I'm so sorry you got shot, but you saved me from those boys. They've been trying to get to me forever. That's why I was so afraid to stay there. I talked to a newspaper reporter and told him all about what happened and how you saved me and Caleb. He said it would be in the paper tomorrow. Was that okay?" "Of course it is," I said. "Is my family taking care of you?" "Okay," she nodded. "Joanne is going to take you to visit your mom. I'm staying with her tonight, and Caleb is going to stay with Liam. They are as nice as you are." Liam came in. "Christ, Dad, what were you thinking? You can't go down into that section of the city alone. You've lived here long enough to know that. What's with the kids anyway? All they will tell me is that you saved them." "Well, I did. I guess their whole family needs a hand for a while. I think we can do that. How bad is this gunshot?" "The doctor hasn't talked to me yet," I said. "Not too bad, really, considering." "Oh, and you don't have to worry about the guy that shot me. He died in a car crash while being chased by the police. It'll be in the paper tomorrow. The other 3 have various broken bones." "When did you get so violent, anyway?" Liam inquired. "I've never seen you like this, even when you were the maddest at Mom. None of us suspected you could do what you did today. I thought of Olivia when I saw Emily being manhandled. I like to feel I did what I had to." "Well, I'm sure you have. Boy, this is going to open Mom's eyes. You know Mom never thought you would divorce her. She thought she could talk you into keeping her no matter what she did. Actually, she has more respect for you now than when you 2 were married." "Bully for you," I said. Anyway, Caleb just walked in and shook my hand. "Mr. Collins, I punched in 911 before I was knocked down. Was I right in doing that? You both did everything right. You both fought as hard as you could, and it paid off. Your mom is going to be proud of you." The personnel came in and informed me that I was ready to be taken to my room. I had settled down for the night. I still didn't know how serious my injuries was. I knew it was awful enough. I continued begging for pain relievers before waking up. Then I was offered breakfast, which was hardly edible. They did offer me coffee. The doctor walked in and told me I was missing a rib bone. It was so severely crushed that they had to remove a portion of it. There were no internal damage other than minor bruises. By the evening, I would have resumed my usual diet. The cops were there to hear my account. Despite the fact that I caused chaos and shattered multiple bones with the bat, they claimed I would not face any charges. A newspaper reporter walked in and asked if I would speak with him. I said I would, but there wasn't much to say. He gave me a document. This title was front and center: "Hometown Man Saves Teenage Girl from Abduction or Worse." The article was lengthy. The majority of the narrative consisted of quotes from Emily's conversation with the reporter. She made me sound more like a deity than the average person that I am. Neighbors provided remarks on how difficult it was to live in this part of town. Then there was some crime data presented. The photographer performed much better. The centerfold included a full-page layout. He discovered Emily cuddling me while I was unconscious. She was standing in her underpants, blood splattered from where she held me. One of her was weeping as I was taken into the ambulance. One picture shows Caleb getting treated by a medic for a bruising. There was a 3-shot montage showing the 3 persons I had taken down. The last image on the page depicted the shooter's smashed automobile. I glanced up at the reporter when he asked what I had to say. I didn't realize how tough it is to live in that section of our city until a couple of days ago. I avoided going down there because I had heard it was rough, but I know how bad it is now. There has to be a lot of good people trapped in the same situations as the Raymonds. I saw a chance to help a couple, but what about the rest? It's sad that the city condones such situations. These 2 kids are willing to work to earn a little money, but when they are afraid to. The photographer came in and took my picture. The reporter congratulated me and expressed hope that my recuperation would be quick and painless. "Yeah, right," I said. There was a soft tap on the door, and it opened wide, revealing a leg in a cast and Kathy seated in a wheelchair. She smiled as soon as she saw me sitting up and fully awake. "Hi, Mr. Collins. When you set out to protect me and my kids, you go all out, don't you? If I could reach you, I would kiss you." "Consider it done," I replied. "Anyway, I read the paper, and you're some kind of giant in my book," Kathy exclaimed, her eyes welling up with glee. "I thank you, but you have to remember that what you read in the paper was taken from an impressionable 13-year-old girl. The result is the same, isn't it? No matter who wrote the story, the results are in the deed. Anyway, I'm thankful. I was very doubtful of you at first. I'm glad you convinced me otherwise. You wouldn't be a parent if you didn't have concerns. It shows how you feel about your children's welfare. I am the same with mine." There was another little knock on the door. I glanced up, and Sophia walked in, looking anxious. "Hi, Michael. How are you?" she inquired, approaching and kissing me on the lips. "Damn you, what were you thinking? If you're going to save humanity, can't you find some place where you aren't going to get a bullet in your butt?" This made me want to chuckle, but I knew the pain would be too great. Linda, Mayor Present Linda Carter. It was her kids that were with me when I got shot. You will have to meet them. They are as nice as Liam and Olivia. In fact, I think Olivia had Emily with her last night, and Caleb stayed with Liam. "Kathy, this is my wife, well, ex-wife, Sophia Collins," I said. I watched the 2 ladies study each other, as women all across the globe do. Sophia was tall, slim, and well-groomed. I wasn't sure what Kathy looked like yet, but I loved what I saw. For a moment, I could see inside Sophia's head. "Michael, I had someone take over one of my classes so I could come see how you were. I have to leave and get back to school. I still think you were crazy, but I'm glad you are going to be okay." This was the lady I'd been married to for 28 years. The kiss she gave me resembled the one I would have gotten if we were still together. Kathy walked aside so as not to intrude on what she knew would be a private time between Sophia and myself. Kathy followed Sophia from my room. Sophia told her what a gorgeous daughter we had before they went out of earshot. She hoped Emily would be as sweet as Olivia when she grew up. Olivia arrived with the 2 kids after school. Kathy rolled in with them. Emily walked straight up to me and kissed me. "Do I have to call you Mr. Collins?" she inquired. "I would like to call you Michael." "May I?" I glanced at Kathy. "It's up to your mother. I'm a little old for you to call me Michael, but Mr. Collins puts me off. So I will leave it up to her. If you call me Michael, then she will have to call me that too. How's that?" Kathy laughed. Okay, all of us will call you Michael. Good, I said. So, Emily and Caleb, how did it go in school today? Did anyone recognize you from the newspaper? Emily reddened slightly. Everyone knows what happened. Even the teachers. Some of the girls said they wish that happened to them so they could get their picture in the paper. They just don't know how scared I was, or they wouldn't wish that. One of the upperclassmen came by and said I had a nice butt. He meant it as a compliment, or said he did, when Caleb threatened to slug him. I hope the kids forget all of this. I don't like to be the center of attention that much, Emily said me. They will if you don't play it up. Then you will know your true friends, the ones who realize how bad it was for you, I told them. That's how you can tell. How about you, Caleb? How did your day go? About the same as Emily's, I guess. The guys wanted to know how I was related to you. I said we weren't related, you were just watching out for us. We needed someone because my dad was killed in the war. They think you're some kind of hero, just like it said in the paper. I don't feel like a hero, I said. I'm sure those kids that I hit with the bat and smashed up don't think I am either. Their parents won't think so. For the Jacks, it'll be just one more burden on them. What about the boy who was killed? Emily questioned. How bad must his parents feel? I'm not sorry for what I did, I said. No, I'm not, for it was a necessary thing to do. But by the same token, I can feel bad for what I did. Can all of you understand that? Olivia had seen me talk like this before, but these new people didn't know me very well. When you meet someone for the first time, it takes some time to get to know them. Sometimes you don't know everything. Just look at how I assumed I knew everything about Sophia. I could not have been more incorrect. Olivia, has Ethan been able to do everything I asked him to do? Yes, she said. Good. That simplifies things for the moment. This is what has been done, I said. Kathy, you now have a new address and your things are all moved in. Olivia's husband got some of the men from the factory to get everything from your apartment and put it in the cabin. I think you will be comfortable there until things improve for you. Liam is going to take you kids shopping for food to stock the pantry. Get whatever you like and some staples, like flour and sugar, etc. When you get out of here in a few days, you'll have a home to go to. I wished I hadn't said it because I made myself laugh, and it hurt. This, in turn, made everyone chuckle. Kathy said, Does your ex-wife still come out there? Not often, but yes, she does, I said. For she is still family. We are rarely there together, but she is always welcome. I glanced at Kathy and proceeded. There were some issues that came up between Sophia and me. We decided, as long as we couldn't resolve them, it was best that we divorce. We don't go around blaming each other, and I suppose we still have some love from the many years we were together. We haven't been apart that long for either of us to find someone else to love, but eventually, that could happen. That's in the future, though. Henry, my lawyer, came in and chatted with me in the afternoon. Well, I have some good news for your woman in the other room. The management from the Pinecrest apartments that housed her has agreed to pay the hospital bills. She will have to sign a paper not to sue, and she will have to be responsible for her own therapy or rehabilitation. I think that is the best she can expect. Shall I go tell her? Sure, I said. Her things have already been moved from Maplewood Lane. She can now put the whole experience behind her just as soon as she's discharged from here. Where is she staying? Henry inquired. I thought she didn't have any money. How could she move? She would need at least $1,500 to find a place, even halfway decent. You didn't lend her the money, did you? Nope, I said. So far, I've had Olivia move the 2 kids into the cabin with the stipulation that the bunk rooms are still available for us to use on weekends. She will be joining them. I assume you will be one of them. What has she got on you? Are you on the rebound from Sophia and trying to buy her love? Henry made a joke. No, of course not, I said. Look, I met the kids. I could see Olivia and Liam in them, and so I decided to do something about their situation. I met their mother and have seen her for about a total of 3 hours. There is nothing there. Well, I'm predicting there will be, Henry answered, lifting an eyebrow. I just hope Sophia doesn't throw a monkey wrench into the mix. She still has a lot of feelings for you. I understand that two women have met already. Yeah, they were in here, and I introduced them to each other. It seemed to go okay. Okay, Henry answered, smiling. I didn't see any claws from Sophia, and Kathy doesn't know me well enough to fight her for me. Anyway, get the hell out of here and go earn your pay, I replied, chuckling as I lay back in my bed. Henry laughed as he departed. He poked his head back through my door before exiting the other room. She'll fight Sophia for you now, after what you just did for her, Michael. 3 days later, I was released and returned to my apartment. After all the attention, I felt lonely. Kathy was thanking me warmly for addressing her medical expenses. I did my best to pass it off. I felt uncomfortable that she was so vocal about it. Finally, I urged her to stop. Okay, I'll stop, but what I said is the way I feel, said Kathy. You can't stop that. Olivia reported 2 days later that Kathy's hard cast had been removed and replaced with an air cast. She was still mainly restricted to a wheelchair, although she could get up and walk about to some amount if she was cautious. Her stay in the hospital was day-to-day. I spent the first night alone in my apartment, but the second night, Caleb and Emily felt I needed company, so they stayed with me until their mother could go to the cabin. These youngsters were intelligent and had already determined their life objectives. Caleb aspired to be a chef, while Emily wanted to work with children in some capacity. When asked whether the folks surrounding the cabin needed a babysitter, she returned home with a babysitting and childcare book from the library. She pored over it all evening and then had me ask the exam questions in the rear. She answered every one accurately. Caleb accompanied Emily to the library, where he brought home books from world-renowned cooks. He even discovered one printed in German. I laughed at him, and he responded, "We spent 15 months in Germany with our dad while he was stationed there. I learned the language, so I have no problem reading the cookbooks." German food is usually heavy and coarse, but you never know where a chef is going to end up working. The more versatile you are, the more positions are open to you. The children remained with me until Kathy was ready to leave the hospital. All three requested me to accompany them to the cabin, which I did for a brief period. I was mending beautifully, and most of the discomfort in my side had subsided. Sophia was tall and toned. Kathy was small and cute, with dark hair and a softer, more sensuous physique. She was easygoing and open, as well. She spoke a lot more, but she made sure that everyone was involved in what she was thinking. When she sat on the sofa with you and watched TV, she may say something like, "You don't mind if I lean on you, do you? It's more comfortable." You'd know there was no sexual substance in her remark, just her need to be comfortable. I remained for a week and then returned to my flat. When I returned to work, I could have remained away for longer, but I needed a reason to take a vacation from Kathy. Henry had predicted that I would fall in love, and it happened. Kathy fell asleep while we were watching television the first night I was at the cabin and leaned against me gradually. The only comfortable posture for me was to wrap my arm around her. When she awoke, she glanced up at me and remarked, "It was nice waking up that way. I hope it didn't bother you." "No, I enjoyed having you next to me," I said. Kathy was 8 years younger than me, and she had no severe bones. Everything had a good side, and she discovered it. I had taken away some of her problems when she was at her lowest moment in life. Now she was back to her old cheerful self. Caleb and Emily put last month's misfortunes behind them and, like their mother, enjoyed life. I enjoyed my stay that week. It seemed as if I had gone back in time to when Olivia and Liam were the same age as Caleb and Emily. I must say that it was more enjoyable today than it had been before. Kathy was just a happier person than Sophia, which rubbed off on me and made me happy. I had other things to worry about. Kathy would sometimes ask me to massage the muscles in her lower leg. She was extremely cautious to keep herself covered, but I caught a peek of her upper thighs on occasion. Depending on my attitude at the time, I felt like a nasty old guy or an insecure youngster. I had to leave for a time to clear my brain. So, as I said, I returned to my lonely apartment. I couldn't stay away from the cabin, however. The children pulled me in almost as much as Kathy did. When Kathy kissed me on the cheek and Caleb held me, I couldn't stay away. Caleb was a busy child now that he knew where he could get jobs. He began performing yard maintenance in the area, and after a few weeks, he had a list of customers and was having to turn them down. Not only that, but he was always testing new recipes on his mother, sister, and myself. If Dad was preparing something he felt I would like, he would phone and say, "Supper's on." I looked forward to these moments very much. Emily was the same. When the neighbors saw how serious she took her babysitting responsibilities, she had to hire a planner to manage them all. I tracked their grades, but I didn't have to since they were consistently in the top 10% of their class. The family knew I was typically at the cabin. Sophia called me one day at my workplace. "Michael, are you going to be home in your apartment tonight?" "Yes, I suppose so." "Why?" "I'd like to come over and talk, mostly about old times, I guess. I just don't see much of you anymore, that's all." "Sure, I'll be here. Do you want to come for dinner? We haven't had one together for a while. I'll put something in the broiler. You can bring me a bottle of wine and whatever you want for yourself. It'll be fun. I'll see you at 6:30. Is that too soon?" "No, that'll be just right." I greeted Sophia at the door, and we exchanged heartfelt kisses exactly like we did when we were married. We were busy and shortly ate. Sophia had bought me a bottle of superb red wine and a pop for herself. She also purchased cheesecake for dessert. I went easy on the wine, simply drinking one glass. Over our coffee, I remarked, "What's up, Sophia? You act like you were trying to seduce me." "Up front, Michael, I am. I'd like you to make love to me. I also want to see if I made a mistake 26 years ago. If there's no more excitement in our lovemaking than there was all of our time together, then I'll know it wasn't a mistake for me to cheat on you. I know I'll be using you, but you called me a cheater, so tonight, I want to be your cheater. I'll know for sure what I am before the night is over." I tried my best, but the notion of Sophia cheating on me for so many years turned me off. What I was doing with her was not even pleasant. I gave up later. We laid down and spoke after taking a shower. We spent a lot of thinking about Liam and Olivia. Sophia began giggling. We just tried to make love thinking about someone other than whom we were having sex with. "Now, don't tell me you weren't thinking of Kathy," I said. I knew then that she had everything wrong. I wasn't thinking about Kathy. I was thinking about Sophia and her beau. I did not say anything. She then drove the nail in even more, stating, "I know, I was thinking about Gary." "Gary?" "Yes, Mark Wilson, the man I had sex with once a year for more than 20 years. He called me the other day, the first time ever he missed me at the convention last year when I decided not to go. He wanted to know if I was all right. He told me his wife had died a few months ago of cancer. He asked if I would meet him. I told him that I would call him back soon." She hesitated. "Do you hate me?" "I should, really," I replied. "Sophia, you hurt me terribly. I trusted you, and you threw that away. Tonight has been the first time I feel you have been honest with me. There isn't enough love between us now for me to hate you." I remembered what she had said me once, "Are you as excited as you used to be waiting to meet him at the convention?" "Yes, exactly the same," I said. "Can I tell you about him? It is something I want you to know, maybe you will understand me a little better and why I chose to cheat on you." "I'll admit, I am curious, although I've tried not to be," I said. "Okay, but first, I want to tell you how I have perceived you and why I have wanted to stay married to you. You are tall and handsome, and I've always been proud to stand at your side. You keep yourself well, just as I keep myself. You have the classic features that are every woman's ideal. That said, I see you as a little too rigid and unbending, always in control of yourself and your actions, I told you. Gary is much different than you. He isn't any taller than I am, and kind of soft and cuddly. He does have a very deep laugh, and that is what first attracted me to him. When it booms out, there's a timbre to it that sends shivers all through me. I heard it the first time from way across the room when I was standing in the convention hall, and I had to wait until he laughed again to find out who I had heard. Later, he was at my table for dinner. I guess he was attracted to me as much as I was to him. That part is history, I told him. I have no doubt in my mind that Olivia and Liam are sired by you. I met his family about 10 years ago when they came to the convention for the oldest boy's birthday. He has 3 children and they all look like him, and I almost feel sorry for the girl. She is so homely it is a crime, but she doesn't realize it, or if she does, she chooses to ignore it. That actually makes her quite sweet. His wife was a little sharp, bird-like thing and micromanaged all of their lives. Gary let out his laugh once at the table. She told him to hush, saying people would be looking at him. I guess living with her was a chore, but when Gary and I got together, we could let our hair down and enjoy each other. We put our spouses aside and had fun. Can you blame me for thinking about him from year to year when the convention was over? Each year we came home and resumed our normal lives. Never once have I dishonored you or wanted to win. I am with you. I hone. I've had a chance to watch you and Kathy together when you weren't aware of being observed. I think you are in love with her, and I know for sure she is in love with you. Bend a little and do something about it. Find that excitement that I feel when I hear Gary's booming laugh from across the room. It is something a person can't describe unless it happens to you. Don't be too sure about that, Sophia. I had a taste of excitement when I picked up that bat and went out to save Emily. I didn't care what happened. I could have been killed, but I was so excited. I embraced it without thinking. I imagine it was the same when you were cheating and your whole world could come crashing down if you were exposed. I get much the same feeling thinking about Kathy. Throw caution to the winds and go for it. You'll see how much more alive. Does anyone have to know about tonight? Even Olivia or Liam? I questioned them. No, I wouldn't want them to read something into it that isn't there. I think we can be friends, Michael. You are a great person and I don't regret being married to you for so long either. I am hoping someday you feel the same way about me. I never intentionally meant to hurt you and I'm sorry if I have. We did have a pretty good life together, but it isn't what either one of us needs now. Am I right? That is how we separated. Within a week, everything changed for me. I had assigned Henry the task of determining why Kathy had not received her husband's death benefit. Apparently, it was a clerical mistake, and Kathy will soon get her own money. This was due to Henry calling individuals he knew and putting pressure on them to figure out what the issue was. Kathy received a letter of apology, which Henry claimed was as good as money in the bank. I received kisses all over my face, and when she stopped, I stared into her eyes and kissed her back. Where did that come from? Kathy inquired. That came from the first time I met you, while you were lying in bed worried about Caleb and Emily. I wanted so to kiss you and tell you things were going to work out for you. Show me again how you wanted to kiss me. I softly moved my lips to hers and kissed, relishing the new soft feel of this lady I'd grown fond of over the last several weeks. Kathy clutched to me, pressing her body against mine. She looked up at me and said, "You aren't toying with me, are you?" I couldn't stand it if you were. No, I wouldn't do that to you or anyone, I told myself. It just isn't in me to be that way. When I kiss you, you can be sure it is for real and for you only. What you are saying, I hope, is that you love me. Kathy made a question out of it. Yes, I said. I lay awake at night thinking about you. What about Sophia? How will she feel about this? She questioned. She's always going to be around, won't she be jealous, and won't you feel a little intimidated? No, I said, shaking my head. Look, I was never going to say anything, but a week ago, Sophia had dinner with me in my apartment. We were both looking for closure after the 28 years we were married to each other. Sophia told me up front she was there to seduce me, and I went along with it for a while. She thought all along I was thinking of you, but I wasn't, because I knew she was thinking of her lover, and I hated him. My thoughts of you came later, when we laid down next to. She told me about this man of hers. The man called her at her apartment the first time in nearly 28 years. He said he was now a widower and wanted to know how she was. She hadn't given him any details about herself when they talked. I believe he knows about her being divorced by now, for she was going to call him the next day. Sophia also said she watched you and me together and came to the conclusion that you loved me and that I felt the same about you. Do you think Caleb and Emily will accept me as their stepdad if I ask you to be my wife? I requested an answer. The kids have noticed the same thing Sophia did, Kathy added, smiling. They keep urging me to nudge you along, even if it means seducing you. Well, I guess it's time I propose, then, I said in return. I was kind of hoping I'd have to seduce you first. Kathy joked, but I'll say yes and then seduce you anyway. As she spoke, she began unbuttoning my shirt. Kathy and I were married 2 months later. However, before our wedding, something unexpected occurred. Sophia was missing for a week, and then one evening she called me. Michael, she said, her voice filled with joy, please tell the kids that their mother's name is now Mrs. Mark Wilson and that I'm very, very happy. Tell them, oh hell, just tell them I'll be home at some point to explain everything. Goodbye, Michael. And she hung up, allowing me to ponder her unexpected statement. You may be asking why I was never irritated with Sophia and allowed her to inform me about her affair so calmly. As I already said, I had no affection for her and could only despise her. Any feeling I had for her would just add to my anguish. Violence and vengeance are not always effective, sometimes it is best to walk away. Thank you for watching. What are your thoughts on the choices taken in this story? Please let us know in the comments. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe.